All right, thanks for sticking around for the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani tonight. A lot to talk about, including a lot of people in Oakmont might not be too happy with this year's U.S. Open winner. And obviously the Bucks dropped 2 out of 3 against the worst team in the majors. And we have the right people to do it with, an all-star panel. You can see Ray Fittipaldo of the Post-Gazette, Mark Kaboly from the Steelers, and Paul Alexander from 93.7 The Fan. So, Paul, we'll start with you. Let's dive into this Pirates disaster of a series and disaster of a bullpen. What is going on? How do you fix it? Because you have to fix it soon. And it seems like we're talking about the same thing this year like we were talking about the offense last year. They got to do something now.
Well, Richie, I was doing postgame today, and it was the 7th inning, and the Pirates had a nice 8-1 lead. I did not feel comfortable. That means one thing. It's a really shaky bullpen. As far as the offense goes, they didn't generate nearly enough to beat Colorado in the first 2 games. Keep in mind, O'Neal Cruz and Connor Griffin are both not available, so that's a big, big problem. So today was a good sign in terms of the offense, but yes, you need another arm or 2, because no matter who Don Kelly goes to, it has been a disaster after a disaster, and they've let a lot of good quality wins go by the wayside because of that bullpen. They need help, and they need it now.
Ray, can they wait to the trade deadline, or do you feel like they got to make a move earlier?
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're hovering around 500 now. You would think that they would like to wait until the deadline so the prices come down a little bit, but they're in a situation now where they almost cannot wait. They might have to pull the trigger on something, say, second week of June instead of closer to the deadline. So I'm with Paul. They are in dire need of bullpen help. If they go and get a quality closer, a guy like Chapman who might be available, that would slot Soto into the 8th. That would knock everyone down a peg, put them in less critical situations, and I think that could really help the team. So if the Pirates can find a way to be in this, say 2 to 3 weeks from now, then maybe Ben Cherington would feel comfortable making a bigger deal.
Mark, high leverage situations have been awful for this bullpen. The bullpen has been awful, altogether. But a scary moment today that could affect the bullpen and make it worse. Jared Jones took a ball off his elbow, and he says it's still kind of feeling hurt. Initial reports are that it's negative. He's going to get tested here in Pittsburgh tomorrow. That could do a little more damage to the bullpen if he has to miss a start or 2.
Yeah, it looks like he's probably going to miss a start or 2. He didn't really come off the mound too happy after he got clobbered in the elbow right there. But obviously you're going to bring Majinski in to be the starter right then. Then all of a sudden you got some issues more in the bullpen. That's why I think you have to go out and get somebody. You spent so much capital in the offseason to be able to get to this point of being a 500. And let's not kid ourselves. They're at 500, and they probably shouldn't be right now considering the injuries, the problems they've had with the starting pitching, the bullpen, the defense. You can go on and on. Games they should have won, they haven't won. They haven't found a way to win yet, but they're still right there at 500. Go out there and get somebody. You tell me about how great their minor league system is. Go out and use one of them. Go find somebody and do it now, because if you wait till another month, it might be too late.
Paul, you would have to give up a minor leaguer, right? Like a prospect. I mean, you don't want to give up too many. There's not many people on the major league roster that you would trade. Maybe a Jared Triolo has some kind of value to someone for an arm. Maybe a bullpen arm, right. That is. I mean, I don't know.
The current roster right now does not have a lot of enticing prospects to go get a quality closer. You do have to shop around, though. You have to see who is willing to deal with you, who wants what you have. And those are the things we never really catch the real story behind, because it takes 2 to tango. It takes 2 to make a deal. But why don't they trade for this guy? Well, they have to be willing to trade him. Chapman right now is the most popular guy out there for every team that may, not have the bullpen that they want. And the Red Sox are out of it. They're in the out-of-it club right now. But they are right now looking for all the best things they can get for Chapman. And the Pirates are never going to be the highest bidder for anybody. They're just not in that league. They don't do that. So that's unfortunate. But hopefully there's a young arm or 2 in AAA that might be able to come up and be the godsend that they need. Or Majinski as the closer would not bother me either. Why not give that a shot?
Ray, should they be the highest bidder? Are they close? Do you feel like they're close right now? Because at the beginning of the year, I thought maybe. But right now, maybe not. You're in the mix with, 8 other teams for 3 wild card spots. The division's gone. I don't even know if they are close.
Yeah, I mean, listen, with Cruz out and with Connor Griffin out, it's tough to say that they're right there right now. Now, if they get those guys back in a couple of weeks and they're still hovering around 500, maybe that offense can come around. But when you cannot score at Coors Field, you know there are issues. I know they had some nice offensive output on Sunday in that victory, but Friday and Saturday were terrible. You just cannot go out to Denver, play the worst team in Major League Baseball, and not score. That's where offenses go to get healthy.
Yeah.
They couldn't even scrap together enough runs to give Paul Skeens a win in a game he pitched very, very well in.
Yeah, speaking of not scoring in Paul Skeens, Mark, the Pirates are 0-7 in his last 7 starts, which is unbelievable. You have the best pitcher, what we thought was the best pitcher, last year's Cy Young winner. The first 9 games he was great. They were averaging 7.2 runs a game. Now it's only 2 point and some change. What happened to the offense? Why can't they generate any offense when he's pitching?
Haven't we been saying that for 3 years now or 2 years?
We had. You know what? I think it was, Mark, The Athletic did a study that he would be, I forget what the record is. He would be something like, instead of 21-13 in his first 2 years, he'd be something like 45-3 or 4. It was 41-3, I think the number is. If he had average run support, average.
Be honest with you, there's a lot of issues with the Pittsburgh Pirates right now. We've mentioned a bunch of them. I don't think Paul Skeens makes the top 10 in my eyes. Okay, has he not pitched as dominant as he has the past couple of years? Yes. He's still top 1, 2 pitcher in the league. I'm not worried about him. He's going to come around, and they need a guy like that, obviously, to lead this rotation. Let's worry about some of the other stuff. I want to throw one thing out there to you, Rich. What do you think? We're talking about trading partners. What if somebody gets enamored by, bite your tongue here, Marcell Ozuna? Just the name.
Who? Who would get enamored by him?
Just the name. Maybe
yeah, just the name.
I don't know.
I don't think you'd get anything from Marcell Ozuna. But, maybe you brought up Paul. We were talking about Paul Skeens. Any of you guys, his velocity is down more than 2 miles per hour. Is that a concern?
Yeah, it is a concern. Say you have, second and third, 2 outs. You have a guy with 2 strikes, man. What you want to do is throw it 101 miles an hour right past that guy like he did, so many previous times. But it must not be there or he'd be using it. So, yes, that's a concern. Is he pitching poorly? No. He pitched very well yesterday, as a matter of fact. However, those 2 ticks on the gun, they scare me.
He hasn't thrown 100 yet.
Maybe it's the World Baseball Classic, right?
Oh, it can't be the way. Come on.
Maybe. It could be. No, he had to ramp up. He had to ramp up for like regular performances way before spring training even started. That's the only thing that's different than his last 2 seasons is that silly World Baseball thing. And to you diehard baseball fans that loved it, I apologize, but all it's going to do is hurt your major league players when you need the most, and that's right now. And Paul Skeens is not the same guy that he was.
It's unbelievable that Paul Skeens, last year's Cy Young winner, is 6-7 right now. You would think that number would be 13-0 or something like that, 12-1. All right, we got to take a break. We have more Bucco talk coming up next. Stay right there on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh, along with Paul Alexander, Mark Kaboly, and Ray Fittipaldo. You see him right there. We're going to continue with the Pirates, and we dove into the bullpen a little bit. But starting pitching hasn't been great, especially Mitch Keller. I don't know what you do with this guy right now. His ERA is 8.70 over his last 6 starts. He's been bad. He's given up 37 runs in 30 innings. Paul, do you consider skipping a start? This is the guy that's supposed to be the steady guy in the rotation, right? The guy that you can count on to eat up innings, and he doesn't even do that anymore.
Well, none of their starters do, and that's a big problem. That's why the bullpen is so bad. It's overused, it's overtaxed, and Mitch Keller's a guy that's always hot at the beginning, and then right around the beginning of August, end of July, he starts losing, and he starts, getting batted around a good bit. Now that started early. He changed his regimen in the offseason so he'd have more at the end of the year than he has at the beginning of the year. But now he doesn't have anything at the beginning of the year. Maybe, just maybe, he'll have something at the end of the year. But right now, he might be a guy in a very, very good situation to skip a start and see if he can get it right, because if he does not have a solid second half of the season, this Pirate dream of a wild card is probably not going to happen.
Ray, how do you go from your first 8 starts having a 2.87 ERA to your last, 6 with an 8.70 ERA? I mean, you got to change something. You got to do something different, drastic, whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, other teams do scouting, so he might have to pitch backwards a little bit more. He might have to change up, what he's doing in the sequencing, but it's a problem. We just talked about going out and finding arms for the bullpen. If you do skip Mitch Keller, who are you going to put in there? Who are you going to bring up? Are we going to get to a point, Rich, where we have to say, okay, maybe they should be looking for a starting pitcher at the trade deadline and not just a bullpen guy. So I'm with you. He could probably use some downtime to figure this out, but I don't know who you put in there because there aren't a lot of good options right now on this roster.
Well, according to Mark Kaboly, you can get a starting pitcher for Marcell Ozuna.
Well, I'll take that.
How about Billy Cook, too? We could throw him in there with Triola.
And Triola. Give all those guys. We give someone good for them, right?
People might be enamored by the guy whose name comes.
Are you enamored by a 200 average?
Well, he's been hitting better lately when he's actually in the game. I'm not saying it. I said bite my tongue, right?
Okay,
I'm like,
I know.
It's a tough one here. I gotta say, why are we talking about the new pitching coach a little bit here? Skeens is pitching worse. Keller's pitching worse. Bubba Chandler can't get the ball over the plate. The bullpen stinks. And it was a kind of a surprise that they got rid of their pitching coach last year, I do believe. So I think some blame has to go his way, too. As for Keller, I put him on the trading block. I'm trading everybody right now. I'm going all in.
You're giving up. They're still in the wild card, Nick.
That's fine, but they're not going to be in the wild card.
They're 500.
Do you make a change?
They're not going to be there unless they fix some stuff.
Do any of you guys make a change with the pitching coach? I mean, at this point, is it too early?
I don't think you do it in season, but do you remember Ray Searage pitch to contact, how much Garrett Cole hated that?
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't it be nice now if you could have a starter get past the 6th inning, somebody who could throw 90, 95 pitches and go 7 or 8 innings? That would do a whole heck of a lot to help out this bullpen right now.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Mitch Keller, for example, has only pitched 6 innings once in his last 6 starts. And most of them, he can't even get out of the 4th inning. All right, we got to take a break. We got some Steelers talk for you coming up next. Stay right there on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Welcome back to the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich Walsh in for Bob Pompiani on this Sunday. So we got 2 Steelers insiders on the panel here tonight. So with the Steelers pick in this year's supplemental draft, Ray, do they take Brendan Sorsby?
No, it's a very intriguing topic because, you don't get prospects coming out in the supplemental draft all that often anymore. There hasn't been one taken, Rich, since 2019. There hasn't been a first-round pick in the supplemental draft since 1992 when Dave Brown was taken by the New York Giants. So the fact that we're even talking about it, I guess it's fun. But when you have Will Howard on your roster, when you just used a 3rd-round pick on Drew Aller, I don't think they're in any position to take a flyer on a guy like Brendan Sorsby. He's intriguing, but to me, Rich, there's just too much baggage with all that gambling stuff in his background.
Hey, we got a QB guru as a coach, Mark. What did he say? It'd take 12 quarterbacks, I think, or 9 quarterbacks. Why don't you just throw in another one?
Well, they should keep 4 at least, but the Sorsby's interesting to me because the supplemental pick, if he was, first of all, we don't even know if there's going to be a supplemental draft yet, right? We'll find out sometime this week. I think Goodell has to make that decision. I'm sure he will, but we don't even know 100% sure there's going to be one yet. Number 2 is, if he was such a can't-miss prospect, wouldn't somebody draft him in the 1st round and say, I don't really care if he bet on whatever he betted on, $80,000, $90,000, whatever he did in college. But I agree. You don't really need him unless he's an elite talent and you view him as a top 10 or 15 pick potentially next year. Then you take a look at it. But this year's gone already, right? You don't draft him until mid-July. Then you can't use him, and you got Drew Aller. So I would more wait till next year and figure out the 1st, 2nd round draft pick of a quarterback next year. I would pass on Sorsby. I think he won't be a 3rd round pick. I think he'll be a 3rd round supplemental pick.
You think 3rd round? Like that was Terrell Pryor. I was thinking more like take a flyer on a 5th or 6th round maybe, right?
Well, I'm thinking somebody else would take him before that.
Before that.
Yeah, I think
Paul,
that's where we'll end up going.
Paul, does the gambling... Go ahead.
Here's the problem with all of this. We have no idea if Will Howard could play at the NFL level. He didn't take a single snap in an NFL preseason game, for heaven's sakes. Now we want to find out if he can play, find out if Drew Aller can play, find out if Mason can still play. How are you going to have time to see if this Sorsby kid can play when you have 3 preseason games, you have 1,000 people on the roster until you cut it down? There's no way to evaluate these kids anymore, so there's no reason to bring in another kid you won't know if he can play or not.
Yeah, it'll be a crowded QB room. I mean, but Paul, doesn't the gambling thing weigh on this? I know Ray mentioned baggage. I mean, this guy bet $90,000 and he bet on his own team when early in his career.
Hey, you know, Pete Rose was the all-time hit leader. He was a pretty big gambler. If you can play, they don't care what you do. I mean, that's just the fact of the matter. If he's good enough to play, the gambling won't be an issue. If he starts screwing up, then yeah, you throw the gambling out there and say, yeah, we never should have taken him. He was a gambler. So if he can play, he's worth a shot. But how are we going to figure out if he can play?
Ray, can you figure...
He played well against Northwestern last year, that's why.
So what?
Ray, I mean, how could you even have 5 quarterbacks on the roster? I mean, that means Mason Rudolph is gone, and then you're gonna have to make a decision with the other 3 guys, with those 3 guys, right? You'd have to phantom IR someone.
Yeah, I mean, the math just doesn't work. You're right. Rudolph would be gone. Then you would have to actually move on from Will Howard or Drew Aller. And you know you're not going to move on from Drew Aller, whom you just spent a 3rd-round pick on. So, again, it's a great topic. Everybody loves to talk about quarterbacks, but I could bet you this. It's not going to be the Steelers. It's probably going to be the Cleveland Browns, the New York Jets, some desperate franchise out there that always does stupid stuff. It's not going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I don't think it is either. But with either one of you guys, any concern about this Drew Aller not signing his contract yet? That's going to be something that's going to get done a little bit later.
A lot of 3rd-round picks haven't drafted.
Yeah,
I believe so. It's just it was a couple years ago. It was 2nd-round picks. Now they moved up to 3rd-year picks. They probably all want their money guaranteed. It'll be done.
Yeah, I mean, didn't Joey
it's all
Porter?
Slotted. Everybody. I'm sorry. Everyone gets the same amount of money basically as if you're a 3rd-round pick. So I don't think it'll be a problem.
What about the Joey Porter contract? It going to get done the same time as the Drew Aller one?
Everybody's on vacation, Rich. So
yeah.
We can worry about this in July and early August. Trust me, it's going to get done. It's just a matter of when.
All right. Well, what's going to get done is us going to break. And coming up next, we're going to talk about the U.S. Open. And the winner this year, not many people in Oakmont probably like it. Details coming up next. With America turning 250, number 1 Cochran is pulling out all the stops during the red, white, and new event. Get up to $1,000 in extra savings on all tag vehicles. Plus, find leases from $129 a month, pre-owned payments starting at $99 a month, and financing as low as 0% from 8 different brands. Don't miss the red, white, and new event now at all number 1 Cochran locations and Cochran.com. All right, welcome back to the number 1 Cochran Sports Showdown. I'm Rich along with Ray, Mark, and Paul. Paul, I know you're the other avid golfer on this panel with me, and I know a lot of people aren't too happy that Wyndham Clark won this because of all the damage he did to the lockers last year because he missed a cut because Oakmont's so hard. So that, you know, that's just telling that Oakmont is better than Shinnecock. But, you know, my question is, Wyndham Clark maybe should have just been suspended for the U.S. Open. I know he gave restitution back, fixed the lockers, you know, donated to a charity of Oakmont's choice. You know, and apologized and went to anger management. I don't think that was enough because if it happened at Augusta and the Masters, I don't ever think he'd be allowed back on property.
Well, it's different that Augusta's an invitational. You have to be invited to play. You qualify to play in the U.S. Open. If you do something, you know, you're in the top 50 on the money, you do this, you're the top-ranked amateur, whatever. You get invited to play in the U.S. Open. You qualify for the U.S. Open. I think that he did just fine, and I think Oakmont in 2033 will open their arms and welcome this past 2-time now U.S. Open champion to come back to Open, and all things will be forgiven.
I don't know about that.
What do you want him to do? He did everything he was supposed to do.
I don't want him to beat up lockers. Who does that?
Sometimes you have a fit of anger and At least he did his restitution, so let the poor guy go. He's having a good Father's Day.
Who was the pirate who, Sean Rodriguez, he beat up the water cooler?
I've seen a couple water coolers beat up on the Steelers sidelines, and I don't think anyone got in trouble for that. But yeah, I guess you can't suspend him, Paul. I mean, for the it's a USGA would have had to do something, but I guess all is good now.
Plus, he proved today, you know, he took on the world #1 and took him to the woodshed. So Wyndham Clark is going to be welcome anywhere he wants to play.
You know, do you like the, you know, the rowdy crowds? Do you guys like that? And then the booing and the cheering. There's been a bunch of people that have been kicked out of the U.S. Open. Do you think there's a place in that in golf?
Maybe at the Ryder Cup. I would like it to be spirited there. Maybe at the Waste Management event because you know what you're getting into there. Other than that, no, I don't like it at all. I think golf is a gentleman's sport. I think it's meant to be played with a great deal of honor and respect, and there's just no room for that, I don't think, in the game of golf.
I once got wise words of advice from you, Paul, saying no negative rooting. Do you guys agree? I live by that now. I don't root against even the guy I'm playing against.
You just rooted against.
Well, it's an individual sport.
I didn't root against
You're playing
them.
against the golf course primarily.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
I'm just saying he destroyed a couple lockers.
Hey, Rich, I heard you were singing Old Country Roads.
All right.
Just like they did at the soccer game.
All right, we got to go. We're going to take a break back in a couple of minutes to wrap this up. Well, that's it for us. Thanks for watching. For Paul, Ray, and Mark, I'm Rich Walsh. Have a great night, great week, and we'll see you next week.